Hey everybody, welcome to Dwarven Forge Live. We're here with another Dungeons Reforged demo stream. It's going to be a pretty short, focused one. We wanted to see what you got. What?
Short, focused one. I don't know why, but it tickled me.
All right.
Just a series of words that sounded funny together.
Yeah. Let's see. Today we're all focused on negative space building. We wanted to see. We've got a smattering of the terrain trays and mats that we're selling in the campaign here. So if there's stuff that you guys want to see, how does it look when you do this? You know, how would you use this thing? That is what we are here to figure out today. So Tyler's here. He's going to be doing most of the building. I'll be answering questions and helping retrieve things if we need them. And I guess first things first. How much activity can you put into this building?
Oh, don't worry,
buddy.
Letitia.
Lately,
I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've got any requests, we want to hear from you, like what kind of stuff you want to see demoed. We got a couple ideas, but this is all about
any song
answering your
requests?
questions. Yeah, any song requests? Tyler is actually a phenomenal singer.
Yeah. So is Chris.
No. So yeah, if you guys want to hear anything, or not hear any, oh god, if you guys want to see anything, let us know. There's a little bit of news. First, if you remembered the what am I thinking of?
The
two new
yesterday?
sets. Yeah, the two new sets. They have gone live.
Yeah.
The Dungeon Secret Passages
Yes.
and the
Eerie
LED
LED,
element.
elements. Yeah.
Yeah, both of those packs are live on the Game Found page. You can go and add that if you've been waiting for it. They were two sets with a ton of very heavily requested pieces in them. So hopefully it will be something that a lot of you will want.
Yeah.
Now,
the Dungeon Secret Passages has been added to the walls and floors subcategories, and the Eerie LED elements has been added to the scatter and dressing subcategories, both at the bottom of those subcategories. So they're at the very end of those lists, so that you can kind of like very easily piece them together, or rather, not piece them together, but just find them.
Yeah. And then two other little pieces of news, crowdfunding related, but not Dwarven Forge related. Our friends at Eldritch Foundry just launched their next campaign, which is they're a modular, similar to Hero Forge. They are a modular miniature designing website. They've got different sculpts, different material. We like them a good amount. They're a good small team of people that we hang out with at conventions a lot. And they are now doing pre-painted, color-printed miniatures.
Yes.
So they've got that campaign going right now. We've messed around with the system a little bit. We have I should grab that test print. We've got a sample here that they gave us at Gen Con. I should show you guys that. But that is live, so if that sounds interesting to you, please check that out. And then also, the company that makes mazes, Ninth Level Games, recently started a campaign for another RPG. It's Thunder Road Vendetta, which is an apocalyptic vehicular roleplay game. Sounds wild and fun. So if that is the kind of thing you're into, check that out as well. I think outside of that, I think it's all the news that really, all the news that's fit to print.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, we're cooking towards 800.
Yes.
So that series of Sinister sets are on the horizon, with then the Demon's Maw after that.
And then maybe some more stuff if we hit the Demon's Maw. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, we've got plans. We've got ideas. You know, we know what we want to do.
It's just about getting there.
Pretty much, like it really is just sort of gauging the rest of the trajectory of the project. Like we still have 14 days?
Yes, we're like
so
about halfway through.
Yeah.
Currently. Yeah.
So like this is a fantastic place to be halfway through, especially for the sort of like the longevity of the project.
We have had
the product. Sorry, not the project. The product.
Yeah. We've had better. We're gonna keep this campaign going.
Oh boy. Well, kind of.
We've had better. We've had better mid-campaign momentum than we expected, which has been really nice.
Yeah.
To the point where we're like, oh, we might actually cross 1 million before we get to the final hours, which would be pretty wild.
As Ed, actually, that was a Nate point. When I was originally concepting the pack, it was just going to be, or rather, what I had started with was like, okay, let's put the secret door in there, the secret corner, and the breached wall. Those are kind of the pieces that were most necessary. And Nate and I were discussing what a fourth piece could be. We had thought maybe a doorway could be nice, like, okay, I guess that, like the broken door or whatever, or these other pieces. But then Nate realized, oh, what would be perfect is two narrow walls in that pack, just because it rounds out the concept, to your point. It makes it something where if I put two secret doors on opposite ends of each other, now I have a way through, or even a breached wall into a secret door on another side or something. Like you have all of these opportunities now with these two narrow walls to just make actual connecting points. Much easier. So when he thought of that, it was kind of the nail.
And while we're taking credit, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think I was like, we should really put the breached wall in with
You
the
were,
doors.
yeah. When I was originally doing it, I was sort of just like, okay, well, here's how you could do it and make it a bridge pack, like how the arch walls or even technically the LED alcoves, or there's one more, and I'm just forgetting it right now, where they basically are useful both in classic and vaulted versus something like vaulted diagonal walls, vaulted LED walls, or vaulted magnetic walls, where it's like those have a very specific style function that's why you would want them versus, hey, these are supposed to bridge the gaps of like entrances and things like that, and you can technically use it in both. It doesn't break the aesthetic.
Yeah, I think what's really nice about what we landed on with the pack is instead of it just being a like bulk piece pack, it actually became a thematic pack where it's like this is about adding essentially a system to your dungeons. It's about adding like a secret passageways system.
When you actually broke it down to when it was being asked, the other side of it was, I think so, I can't remember who made the comment in the Discord, but it aligned with the logic of like how we've been building the sets. It did feel like a thing where like the advanced core is a great roundup of all of the extra bits that you would want in a build, in a nice narrow sort of like collection that then adds to a core set. So if you get a core and an advanced, or even a core mega and an advanced, you're getting all these really good pieces to just build out. Whereas then when you get an LED wall pack or a magnetic wall pack or a diagonal wall pack, the purpose of those is to, hey, I really like this piece, I kind of want to, or I like this idea, I like this thing, I want to build out with it. And when you look at the secret door straight, the secret corner, and the breached wall, they were only available in like one or two packs each. So it was kind of a nice additional way to round up those pieces and say, here's an even easier way to get those things if you kind of want to double up on that. And then if you get two, you're at nice multiples. When even at 1x, this pack is also great when paired with the core mega or even the regular core set. So with the core set, you have, I think, 15 walls. So this rounds your straight walls out to 18. And then with corners, I think it's 8 corners. So then this pushes you up to 10. And then getting a 2x4 breach wall is nice. But like, it's that thing of when you pair it with those other things, it morphs really well and it just rounds out those numbers. And it kind of gives you, that's why we put 3 in there instead of 4. Because it was like, hey, this is kind of, it helps the price, it helps the multiples, and then also if you got 2x of this pack, you'd get 6 straight walls, 4 corners, and 2, like you get nice multiples over time. Anyway.
I love that decisions are made this way rather than by idiots with MBAs in a boardroom based on marketing studies. Yeah.
They're made with idiots without MBAs.
Yes, we're not educated.
Sorry.
Nobody here, nobody here is educated. Yeah, the people who are making the decisions here are people who are actually using the pieces. The people that we're answering to isn't, like stockholders or like a C-suite. We're answering to you guys essentially.
Right.
So everybody involved in the process is kind of just people who actually are going to be using the pieces and wants them to work well.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Really interested how the Demon's Maw works with negative space.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yep. That's a phenomenal. I don't think that's the thing that we've done. Speaking of negative space, let's get into
Let's get into
the
it.
building.
So, well, I mean, if anybody, yeah, with this stuff, then anyone, the Secret Doors pack is a knockout of the park. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we started out. I put them on the table anyway, just to kind of have them up here as the dungeon floor. Obviously, it's always rough having the graphics because of the extra sheen that the lights can give onto stuff because we have to print it versus fabric printing.
Yeah, this isn't actually
Right, 'cause
the
that would
terrain tray
be-
material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the whole purpose of trying to show it off differently. Then we're going to, yeah, that's probably a little bit easier to see. Here's, let's see. No, these are prototype prints. Oh, thank you, Finley. Yeah. Here's my question. If I wanted to make sure I get in the crowdfund, order the pieces that will become much harder to get in the web store, which ones would I get? I think breaking down your question, which ones are going to be the harder ones to get if they went to web store? It's a hard question to answer because that's the purpose of this project, is to not. We repackaged things from both KS1 and KS5. So the original Dungeon game tiles and then Dungeon of Doom, we have repackaged to make it infinitely easier to get everything. So there aren't any chase pieces as much as possible. Like what we just experienced with making the secret door passage, the secret dungeon passages pack was exactly trying to stop that from happening, right? Where it's like, here's some pieces, new or older, that were harder to come by that we want to make more accessible.
Yeah, the point of this is to avoid the thing that we had after Dungeon of Doom, where pieces weren't restocked for 5 years. The stuff that is most likely to be slower to restock when it runs out is likely going to be some of the more niche dressing. Things like the dungeon pole accessory assortment, potentially the rolling boulders. Like some of that stuff might be
but we
a little
also
slower.
We also sell those slower.
Yes.
So like
if they sold out, they would be a lower priority to restock over core pieces. I think pretty much anything when you look at the walls and doors, the floors and ledges, and then the core sets, I think almost anything in there we would try to restock as soon as it runs out. Essentially,
it's why also the subcategories on the side. Sorry, it's why the subcategories within GameFound are a good indication of like importance in the order they're going down. Where it's like we're always going to be trying to restock our core sets 100%. Then after that, it would be the sub packs of like floors and walls, and like those packs are really important for extending your piece count to build larger things, as well as get more niche walls. And then after that, the elevation and dais systems are also vital to dungeons. So those have equal measure to like walls and floors, in my opinion. Like those kind of 4 categories are like, we really don't want to be out of those things. So those are our top priorities. So then scatter and dressing is like the thing where it's like, as we can restock them, we will.
Just getting started with Dwarven Forge, are there any recommended YouTubers that use Dwarven Forge in their campaigns? The most relevant, especially if you're doing Dungeons Reforged, the most relevant is likely going to be the Dungeon Dudes. They use our terrain in almost every episode of their actual plays, and they do a ton of dungeon building.
Matt does do it on Critical Role quite a bit. Like he uses dungeons.
Matt uses our stuff a lot. I just assume that you probably already know Critical Role.
Critical Role does it, yeah. But it's like when he builds anything, as he uses the dungeons quite a bit.
Yes.
But he also does, and the same thing with Dungeon Dudes. They also do add their own stuff or like other little bits and pieces to like accentuate those builds too, which is really awesome. I think doesn't don't let me stall, because I thought there was a third one. Like in my head, I'm like, I thought there was somebody else who uses the dungeons.
Viva La Dirt League uses our stuff sometimes.
And then Pat at the mazes, like at conventions, will use our dungeon stuff a lot.
Acquisitions Incorporated, the last couple years of Ac Inc. games have like all used our terrain, including the filmed Series 2 season. That was all our stuff. We're trying to slowly conquer the entire market of actual plays. So there's a good amount at this point.
Yeah. So Do you have a thing that you want to show off, Chris? Just because we haven't received any sort of like
Yeah, if anybody has
specific
anything they
request.
actually want to see, like let us know. We've got the mats and everything here.
Yep.
Maybe grabbing the ledges and like let's try making a really cool ruined room that uses the like underlayer of the dungeon floor terrain tray, maybe.
A ruined room using this.
Yeah, that kind of has ledges
Okay.
go down to it and see what
All
we
right.
can do with that.
All right, because we showed that last week, and well, not in great effect. I just mean like we did show that. So let's let's do that. I'll go grab those things real quick, and I can also grab the tiny stairs so somebody can see the dais next to it.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be easy as well. Well, because the daises will be good to have in this anyways. Let's see. I think showing off some of the texture patches as negative terrain in small areas of the map could be good for people not used to their purpose. Texture patches would be good to use as well. We throw some puzzle floors into the mix as well. No reason not to. I think the puzzle floors are pretty accessible. I think we have them all in just a bin in the build room right now. What else do we have here? Yeah, as far as YouTubers go, I think Dungeon Dudes are likely going to be the best that you might not have heard of. But outside of that, Penny Arcade's Ack Inc. game. Sly Flourish also has a lot of very good videos kind of about getting into Dwarven Forge. He is a phenomenal DM advice channel, and he has done some stuff talking about like how to get into Dwarven Forge on a budget, what's the most impactful thing you can do when you're starting out with it. So Sly Flourish is worth checking out. It's a very small channel, but he's very insightful. After all I wished for is now in the game found, Torchpack and Secret Doors. What do we need to do to get a Sinister Forsaken Temple antechamber? Expanding Sinister to the Forsaken Temple, I think, is going to be... We'd either need this campaign to, like, really blow up, or it's a thing that we would do later.
The Forsaken Temple.
To do Forsaken Temple and Sinister. I think
I'm going to shake my head in terms of, like, it would not be possible during this project.
Yeah, it would likely be a
Full
future... Stop. Most likely what we do is, like, if this campaign blows up, we'll say, like, okay, we will develop this as, like, a straight-to-web store thing at some point.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. Thanks for this EU-friendly stream. No problem. We try to mix it up a bit. We had planned on this one being a little later, but things just worked out this way with juggling timing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So the tiny stairs from Lowtown with the dais.
Are they half the size?
Yeah, just about. Like, this is also a resin. See, I didn't want to take too much time, so the other one's going to be slightly taller, but not by much. So yeah, I would call it about half as tall. Right, so you could use it if you wanted to. Right, like in some fashion. But also, if you put this under a floor, it would then match to that height, most likely. So, not certain if that helped, but
Oh man, we're getting some questions in. All right, let's see.
Chunk of my DF stuff lives on my shelves. Let's kick us down.
Yeah, making little dioramas for stuff is a lot of fun. We have a couple people around the office have some of their favorite pieces like up on display, or they've made like little scenes. I got a little moss bowl from Target that I want to make a little scatter and mini like diorama in with like some of the Burrows and Badgers minis I did, and just make like a little red wall. Maybe grab like some of our scatter, like the jumpy stones or something, to do like some scatter on it and make a little scene.
Cool.
I haven't had time to do it yet though.
Yeah. In terms of okay, so I've got this off to the side, but would it be possible to see how to connect large curved walls with passages and rectangular rooms that are angled with the grid? I'm assuming you mean with this design.
We could make that part of the room, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna need.
Oh, and somebody also asked if they could see the puzzle floors as part of the build as well.
Okay.
It's like, oh, it's becoming everything. Let's see. In combination with the runes and Hellscape, this would be absolutely awesome. Oh, that could be interesting. How would we go down into it? Let's see. Got a large curve. Okay. Puzzle floors are getting a lot of attention this time, it seems. It's something that I think the idea of them is very compelling. And I think they got a little glossed over in Dungeon of Doom just because there was so much stuff in Dungeon of Doom. And I think a lot of it ended up flying under the radar a bit or getting a little, burrows, puzzle floors, a lot of stuff kind of, because there was so much new stuff that not all of it could be talked about very fully. And so I think people are focusing in more now on the things that they either don't have or don't know how to use. And the puzzle floors are one of those things that we just didn't talk much about. So I could see it might be worth doing something focusing on just the puzzle floors. I'm intrigued by them, but I literally don't know how they work. So they've got stickers, just a ton of stickers. You get like a decal sheet with a ton of stickers. And here we go, baby. You get a decal sheet with just a ton of stickers, and you put it on the tiles, and you can build them in there. I think you can make like a magic circle with them and such. There's just a ton of designs on there. And so, the idea is the minis move around and can you stand on the tiles, and so you can like create a... Oh, there he actually grabbed him. More puzzle floor photos were added to the GameFound page and photo gallery on Friday. Oh, that's good to know. There's a magic circle and all sorts of other runes. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that the puzzle floors could really use is some supplementary materials to kind of give you ideas for what you can do with them, basically. Yes, we could have that, and then like ledges going down into it. Let's see. Love to see door inserts for those round walls someday. It'd be cool. I don't know if it's like very effective or feasible with just the shape.
No.
Yeah.
You're effectively making a curved door insert for the express purpose of it being exactly uniform for that one usage, versus just using a regular door insert for that.
How do the little floor inserts come out?
So it's got on the bottom. So you actually, with the magnetic tool, that comes with other floors, it does come in this pack, and you can just pop it through that.
Yeah.
But also you can just do it with like a metal thing that you have.
Yeah. The reason why that magnetic floor tool has like the pointy handle is because it fits through that hole. Probably another thing people just don't know, because again, we didn't really explain the puzzle floors very well in Dungeon of Doom, like at all.
Sure.
Are there any ideas on making the puzzle floors translucent, where the letters or symbols would be able to be utilized with the DF light panels? There's been a lot of people who have asked for kind of, can we make this... I think people have been like, can they be individually sculpted tiles? A lot of it would just massively increase the price to do it, which is part of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's directly a cost thing as well as efficiency. We would end up kind of losing. I don't know. I shouldn't. I think you answered it fine. I shouldn't. Overspeak.
I think honestly, the best way to utilize the puzzle floors would be to give them some kind of cipher or some kind of thing showing them what the symbols mean, and then they need to decode and like figure out from there. It's like, okay, so what order do we need to step on these things then to spell out the thing we're trying to spell out?
Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of even just a very simple kind of like putting the angled walls in it, or even just a rectangular, quote unquote, rectangular room on top of this design, I could make them line up to it. Right. I know that's a little harder to see. I'm just trying to. These don't have magnets.
That guy's not magnetized yet. Yeah.
So like I can make it line up. They're going to be different, but then obviously with advent of like ruins and things like that, you can start to kind of make it. Well, I thought this had ruins in it.
Does a 2-inch wide passage fit into the opening so it doesn't need an infill? I think what you have to do, I think you have to use the curve backfill for it.
The what thing? You talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a backfill for it. That's how it.
Yeah, you basically need to put the curve backfill back there, and then use diagonals or other walls to kind of make a thing coming off it.
Apologies and pardon. I am just trying to find a couple more ruins pieces in the regular paint scheme.
That being said, if you wanted to just put a 2-inch wide passage against it, you could have the gap there and just tell your players to like ignore it. You know, it's not gonna fit perfectly seamlessly, but as far as function goes, if your players like really complain about it, like you know,
Yeah. So this is what I would say, right? I needed to find a couple more. I guess I could just do it in Sinister. That's not too bad. But finding opportunities to kind of make a ruin. I guess I shouldn't use that because it would want to use that first, or rather do that and then push that there. Then it kind of looks a little bit more appropriate. And then we can, where is my, that's what I was looking for. Perfect. So again, just from a sort of quicker standpoint, we can do a better build than this in terms of like, I'll have a little bit more time. But that's more of the Sinister breaking into it. But I personally believe, yeah, like you can line it up directly with the grids, or having it off can still work, right? Like having it cross pattern like that kind of makes it.
I guess the other thing to keep in mind with the dungeon floor terrain tray is it's the stonework is like slanted, or like it's at a 45-degree angle instead of being completely.
Yeah, I mean that
Straight,
because this
yeah.
is the purpose of it, right? Is
Yeah.
like is to give you options in how you're building, as well as if you end up wanting to drop just a train tray down and put some elevation features or daises, right? Is even just dropping a couple of these on top here of, and I'll shift them in just a second, but you can effectively kind of just shift your daises around as well. Either line them up, and then you're getting to play elevation at simpler levels, right? Instead of having to stack and stack and stack and stack, now you have just a kind of a simple dungeon ground to break up. And I guess you could also effectively, like if you really wanted to, you could, I could take any of my passage walls. As soon as I can find, I just had one. Jesus. There it is. I could also take a passage wall and on the outer rim of a terrain tray, right?
Oh yeah,
Create a
and then
border
have
wall.
it be a.
The difference being here that like it's going to be a little awkward to then put two trays next to each other. You're going to have to kind of like do that, but you can. They're thin enough, like the metal plate is thin enough that you could do something like this if you wanted to, but you're only ever going to be able to do it on the border. So not a thing I would highly recommend, just a neat thing you could do if you really wanted to. But that's why the better way to do it is closer to having the ruined pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Then you go
making
down
any of
into
your
the middle.
ledges. So it just looks like it actually looks like the gradual thing if you want to break that up that
It's
way.
kind of interesting to have like the idea of like this is a big sinister room, and then you break through underneath, and it's like plain stone underneath.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting actually to use like the different colored stonework, which I guess it's still a different color than like the standard dungeons as well.
Yeah.
But sinister going into plain stone underneath is interesting.
The regular dungeons are going to be closer in color because that was kind of how we built the graphic. It's not a direct translation. It's not supposed to be a 1-to-1 for a purpose. but it is a closer color.
They definitely both at least feel like natural stone.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So what am I still needing to do here?
I think so. Okay, there's two directions we can take this. Would you guys be most interested in seeing a large, or seeing like an inline room that has runes crumbling away to go down into middle thing here, or do we want to do a kind of scatter build on top of this? Most of the questions have not been negative space related.
Yeah.
Or do you
I
guys
can
want to see
that.
something entirely different? We have the other terrain trace. Why not both?
Yeah.
Fair. Is there a subtle grid on dungeon terrain trace at 45 degrees?
Yeah, technically, but only because these stones are square.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an actual grid. It is that like you could reason one if you really tried, but that is not his intention. That is not the purpose. That is not in the design. There is not a subtle grid. No.
Let's see. Like the precision, the stones are in 2.5. They're not in 1-inch increments. They're smaller than that. Yeah, because this is a 12 by 12-inch tray, and there's way more than 12 like tiles to get across it there. Seeing a 6 by 12 tray used would be nice. Oh, we could do that. We have a 6 by 12 of the dungeon floor here, so we could do a little raised area going down to it with a scatter, build at the bottom beneath it. That could be interesting. You want me to get these stilts?
No, I think the stilts are right here.
Okay.
So I'll just shift these.
Yeah, let's try doing that. You can use the chasm terrain tray. I don't think we have the new one.
No, not yet.
Yeah, we don't have the new one in yet.
We will by the end of the week.
Something with ruined ledges. Yeah, so we're gonna do this is a fun idea. Are 4 of the terrain tray bricks approximately 1 inch? Oh, 4 of them together.
I would need a ruler. Again, they are not built for that purpose. So it's not it's not exact.
If you just compare, because this is gonna be about 1 inch.
Well, it's under an inch. So that's the other reason I wouldn't really.
It's also definitely past it. It's closer to 6. It's closer to 6 of them across than 4 across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's closer to like 2.5.
Yeah.
If it's anything.
Yeah, so definitely, I think it's pretty hard to do that. The UV reactive paint, I don't think so. Not all of our Sinister in-house is UV reactive, and I think all the UV reactive Sinister is in a build. That
I actually don't know. I don't know. I think it got mixed because that build is no longer built.
But however, that UV reactive nature will be shown off pretty thoroughly in a video that's coming out, the Sinister Spotlight video, so you'll be able to see it all there very soon. Any update on 4x4 Sinister floors? Nothing currently. But I will say, for making additional Sinister packs, we're probably looking at post 1 million stretch goals, because that involves making new.
Well, it doesn't always involve new pieces, but there are a couple. There are a couple of new pieces in some of them.
What we would do in terms of making that 4x4 more accessible is it would be making a Sinister version of the large floor pack, but that would involve having to make the 8x8 as well, which would be a new piece we'd have to do. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for additional Sinister pieces. We're looking at kind of post 1 million stretch goals. The UV reactive paint and Percorni, yeah, the arcane acid is the fluorescent paint that we have in our line.
Yep.
And so pretty much everything we have that is UV reactive has arcane acid in it. Sinister LED walls for the win. That's a big request that we've seen. I think the biggest ones we've seen people asking for are the LED walls, the large floors, and the LED floors. Those are like the biggest ones we've seen.
It was ruin. It was going into a ruin. This is like a step down, right? That was the request.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then having kind of a scatter area.
Okay.
Scatter build at the bottom. Or let's make a new 4x4x4 pack. We're not going to make a new pack.
Nope.
There's too many SKUs.
I'm not going to make a. If I'm going to make a Sinister pack, it's going to be as close as a copy to a vaulted pack as humanely possible.
Yeah, we want to
So, for instance, if it was an LED wall pack, we would put the Ghostfire torch in there, which would make it technically a different composition than the regular vaulted companion pack, like what you see with the Core Mega.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I am very adverse to creating such a specific thing strictly for the purpose of, but you've already made that piece. It's like, no, I would much rather it be not only from a back end for a user interface, but from a fulfillment end, I would rather do that. And I'm sorry if my tone is harsh. I also kind of can't speak right now.
You can't speak?
Well, I just every single time I talked this past week, I start coughing. So I just am,
Sinister Large Curves is another one that we've heard. It's not, we haven't heard it as much as some of the other ones, but it's the way it's looking. What I will say, it's looking like Sinister is popular enough that probably over time we are going to keep expanding Sinister into more and more things. But there is kind of a ceiling to how much we can do in this project before it's just like too bloated, you know?
Yep.
That's what I will say. If we don't do something in this campaign, it does not mean we're never going to do Sinister in that. Like, Sinister Elevation. Elevation would involve doing, like, a lot of additional pieces
It's
in
about
Sinister.
12 different pieces that we would have to, I think it's
Yeah.
like 12 to 15 pieces that we would have to end up doing.
Yeah. So getting into Elevation would be, like, a pretty big expansion. It's probably something we're going to have to think about after this campaign, just because it would add a lot to it. And we've already gone a lot bigger than we initially wanted to for this campaign. And the more and more we throw in there, the more difficult fulfillment becomes, and all that jazz.
And all that jazz.
All that jazz.
See,
I guess the EU crowd, as am I, are possibly a bit newer to the system. I'm still figuring out what could be combined in a build. Thank you for showing those things as well. So the fun thing is, almost everything in this campaign is compatible in some way. Like, really, this whole thing is designed, elevation systems, passage systems, the core pieces. Really, everything should be able to work together in some capacity. Some things are going to have more synergy than others. But for the most part, it is all designed on a consistent scale, and we try to make each piece as flexible as possible. So for here, like the days being able to be used as scatter.
I just Pledges using them, so I'm gonna go do something else.
On top of
I can't use anything else. That's fine.
Going to be new to Dwarven Fortress campaign, and I love the Sinister look. If I only build my collection as Sinister, will I have issues getting pieces that match from later campaigns?
Okay, so Nate's using all the ruins, so I gotta use Sinister.
He's using all the runes? Okay.
Yep.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna use these instead. Keep going.
We could have like a Sinister upper level.
Yep.
Yeah. Good idea. Let's see. So from later campaigns, so what I will say, we do a lot of different biomes, and so we're, if we're doing like a wilderness campaign, we will be showing you compatibility with as much as we can. In fact, we actually have a video that's being worked on that is compatibility with wilderness and dungeons. So that's something that's happening. Whether the aesthetic, and actually we've been playing around with putting Sinister in other things, and we've combined Sinister with every cavern paint scheme except ice at this point. So we will show you what this stuff looks like. The fun thing about dungeons is, because it is a structure, you can justify the paint being very different than other biomes. You can justify the paint being different with other biomes because it's like, well, they built this here, It's not built out of the same sand or grass that is in this area. So, or, it's been built into this cave with other materials. Let's see. Everything is good. There's just a lot going on. Spencer showed the Sinister paint scheme last week, which you could use on elevation pieces. That's true. Yeah, you can also take the Sinister painting, the Sinister paint scheme, and you could put it on non-dungeon pieces. People have done that before with their own custom paint schemes, or just with making making their own version. You could take the Sinister paints and decide you're going to do Sinister Caverns, for example, and follow those steps on cavern pieces if you wanted. We're not going to offer that ourselves just because the that's going to then add a fifth paint scheme to the cavern pieces, which we're already struggling to keep the 4 that we have in stock and represented. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just always it constantly comes back to the same thing for any of our product, which is just that hey, we have a finite amount of space as well as a finite amount of like SKUs that we should create.
Yeah, there's the more little differences we make in sets, or the more paint schemes we put a set in, the more we're asking our factory to keep track of.
Yeah.
And the more things might get mislabeled, and also like the more different things. We have a different like MOQ, or minimum order quantity, on every set that we get. So when we've got a set in like 5 different paint schemes, we can't split the minimum order across those 5 paint schemes. It is, we have to hit the minimum order quantity for every one of those things.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful just about the sets that we make.
Additionally,
so
like we've done a lot to shore up a lot of those things too. Like in terms of, we have done what we can to kind of make the unforced errors sort of lessened over the decade that we've had to kind of do all this stuff. So for instance, trying to make certain that that when we release a set, or when we make a, I think I want to try to do it that way. When we release a set, or when we're releasing new product or new campaign or whatever, that it's built in a way that like cannot be confused. For instance, like when we did the original Dungeon of Doom and it came to the web store, the way that like product SKUs and set codes were created was just like utilizing the names of the pack. So it did make it sort of like some packs were one letter off from each other versus what we are doing now, and what we've been doing for this project as well, which is like just kind of creating a numbered set code system since like Caverns Deep, to make those things less common, less able to be messed up, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's a really big thing you've been working on too, is just changing SKUs on things. And also like there's some pieces where it's technically 2 pieces, but we just put them together under one SKU.
Because at the end of the day, when it's in the mold, that's how it's molded. But like, yeah, if somebody's missing one of the 2 pieces, then that's way different. So like it can be tough to like get customer support on that. And then that makes their job harder. So that's the other side of like why we've chosen to do some of the things that we have. Let's see. I like
that backdrop idea. Who said that? Ice Blaze. Yeah, it's something that it keeps coming up, and we've talked about, and we're like, oh, that would be a really cool thing to figure out and just like offer on the website. The biggest thing is just like we never end up in a spot where we find ourselves with the time and bandwidth to like ask graphics to work on it. Usually graphics has way more important things to be working on. But it is like a really cool...
Nearly always.
Graphics has to do so much heavy lifting just around the clock with all the things we're trying to maintain, both with campaigns and the web store and every convention appearance. They've got to design like all the backdrops and cards and signs for those. And the more that we do as a company, which we've been doing more conventions, more projects more often, all of that just significantly increases the workload. But backdrops would be an extremely cool thing that we do want to do, and it's finding the time for it. Let's see.
I really wish I could have found this one, but don't think it's in this little pile of ruins I got. So
doors versus frames, trapdoors versus frames, etc. Such a frustrating mishmash of single or separate part SKUs. Yeah, a lot of the early days, the doors were not actually listed separately from the frames, and it has caused confusion before. It's something that now that Tyler's like on top of this stuff, we're getting way better at actually keeping track of things.
A lot of
Which
that
is
is
helpful.
also, from the records originally of Chuck and
Mhm.
Randy. That first year was also very helpful in like looking at his sheets and seeing what people actually like. So let's see if I can try to show this off a little better.
I can also move the camera if that would help.
Nah, I think I should just angle this a little bit more appropriately, and then that should be helpful. And then we'll move, and then we'll see from there.
Backdrop sized as DM screens or a DFDM screen. Honestly, the thing that would be killer for us to do would be to collaborate with somebody who would do the actual production, somebody who makes backdrops or somebody that makes DM screens basically, and just do a collab with them where we give them like art assets or something, and then they handle most of the production. Um, that would probably be the best way for us to do something like that.
Sure. So what I've done here with the 6x12 is just make it a what I would effectively think is, from like my build kind of standard, what I would try to do is utilize it as the main entrance point or something, like just kind of keep it as a simple entrance. Then coming into a bigger spread out, have maybe a 2x2 or maybe even a 3x2 worth of then coming into broken pieces and being able to kind of like utilize the extra daises over here or something like that, shifting into a larger section out here. But we can even try to angle this a little bit more so you can get the light in a good way. Oop. Caught.
Oh, hang on, let me change that.
Okay.
Let's go back to that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It's like, right, so
A foyer, yeah. It's fun to feel like you're going from like one. Actually, this is kind of cool. If you're doing like a subterranean like dungeon crawl, it could be a thing you're going deeper and deeper, and this is the point where like they get through this level of the dungeon, and they come in and it's like, oh, you've reached a like.
I wanted to
layer.
find a breached wall.
Yeah.
Or this would be a perfect place for the secret door wall. I was running around and because Nate's building, he was like kind of using some of those things. So I couldn't grab those things specifically with the time I had. But like, yeah, just even making an entrance at some point into a lower level. The other thing that the 6x12 is really good for is I think it's also like this is a great use of it in terms of elevation towards negative, but like what you can also do as part of negative space is I can take out the stilts. Well, what Nate and I have talked about anyway is sort of when you use, this is just the dungeon floor, but we also have 6x12s for the hazards. The magma has a 6x12 and the acid also has a 6x12. As well as then the wait, does the acid have it? Did I just say that wrong? Why am I thinking? I'm sorry. Point being able to kind of very quickly make narrow passage runs. But if you want it, not so much narrow passage runs, but like doing passage runs that are based off of your regular walls, helps with a 6x12. You can do more convenient sort of offshoots if you wanted to. Right? So kind of centering those two things. I know that this is not necessarily the most accurate. You'd have a whole inch on each side, but that's, to me, kind of small potatoes. I don't need my full terrain tray to be covered, but very simple.
You got to give me a giveaway word.
I gotta give you a giveaway word.
Yeah.
Why aren't you getting it?
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What's a okay?
How about the
Letitia's calling the other terrain trays that aren't acid the other questionable liquids.
yeah.
That-
That's
that'd be a good
fairly
like
accurate.
terrain tray mega pack bundle.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm actually gonna go this way because this will actually sit clean as
Subterrain.
well. The subterranean. Let's say
Everybody wants questionable liquid.
I mean that's big. Let's just put let's put hazard. Hazard as your key
All
as
right.
your word.
Hazard, Hazard. If you want a chance to win a $50 Dwarven Forge gift card, go ahead and type hazard in chat, and we'll roll that in a few minutes. It's like an OG Diablo where you go from regular catacombs down through all the cave, hell, bone levels. Yeah,
Right.
I like that idea, and that can just be and they can fight something like out in that scattered space.
Mhm.
It reminds me too of Tears of the Kingdom, when you're just going deeper and deeper
Yeah.
into the ground, and you hit a point where it's like, oh, this is like an old buried temple from a long time ago.
Right.
Like you get down through there, and it's just like it just keeps going. Meant the lava and dungeon floor is not acid roof. Oh, dungeon floor is definitely a questionable liquid.
Yeah.
Because it's very solid. We see sinister on ethereal energy phantasmal filters. I don't know if we could grab. We have the filters here. I don't know if we.
I don't know if we have a light panel out here though.
What I will say, that is going to be shown in. There's some pictures of it on the GameFound page that are stills from a video that is coming. So you'll see the sinister on the phantasmal filters on those filters very soon. Texture patches. Do we have a texture patch?
We have one.
We have one.
We have the water. We have a 2x2 water texture patch.
Okay. Negative space is the way for new collectors. Yeah, you get a lot of coverage. You get a lot of coverage for cheap with negative space. It's why we started doing it, and we really want to make sure people understand how it works, because you can get some very flexible builds at a very low price.
Damn. Well, what I wanted to try to do
Any chances
here-
for something that plays nice with and is an extension of the Dwarven Reliquaries art or piece style? Something that could work with dungeons on its own and also play with reliquaries or other sets nice. More unique scatter based on a one art style, essentially. We've talked around having doing some projects that are just kind of thematic scatter, where that might make sense to do, where it would be, and we could do some pieces that are like kind of Dwarven Reliquaries styled standalone runes or something, maybe.
So one other thing I
yeah.
had thought of that I don't know why there's only one passage wall in all of this crap, but is, as part of your 6x12, you can do some kind of interesting, utilize your passage walls with your ruins and ledges as a way to accentuate hazards or accentuate this kind of stuff, like in part of your tunnels. I don't know what you would want to call them. Hallways, I believe some might call them. Some crazy people. But that's kind of the nice part about passages, is that they're freestanding versions of the walls, and you can even do that with the corner as well, the freestanding corner that we have. And you can kind of continue to place that down there, and the one hiccup obviously would be if you're putting them this close together, you've only got about relatively like 3 inches of space, so it can be maybe a little tight to navigate through, but that would be kind of the point, right? It's rough terrain, or if you use that on the 6x12 magma, you can also kind of have that same kind of thing, but a genuine danger poking through. And I just want you to stay for this exam.
It'll make it even less stable if you put a grid overlay underneath it.
Sure, yeah, we can put a grid overlay.
Stan's just wanting to see what they look like.
Yep.
So,
Yep. There it is.
yeah.
Let me go ahead and get it closer.
So the main thing is it does make the trays glossier. You know, it's a what material is it? It's not acrylic, is it? Is it acrylic?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. It's a glossy. It's got bend to it. It makes the magnets not hold.
One of the
As
well,
well.
it does no, it doesn't make the magnets
Is
not
it vinyl?
hold.
Acetate? Vinyl?
See?
Oh, it still goes through the magnets?
Yeah.
Why
it's
did I
not,
think it didn't? Oh, all right.
it's not that thick.
That's
It'd
fair.
have to be pretty thick for the magnet not to work.
Okay. Well, cool. So the magnets do still
The
work.
thing it's not gonna do is it wouldn't with like respect to like the magnets that are in this piece is a little bit trickier.
Mm.
See how it's already
Yeah, but those magnets are just weaker.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
like the ones that are on the main pieces, you're not going to have that issue. The big thing too is that it's not affixed, right? So if you want this to not shift during your build, obviously having pieces on top of it is going to help that, especially weighty pieces like walls
Mhm.
are going to help you. Go ahead and just put these on the four corners there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have limited issues in that way.
What I will say as well is, at home you're not likely to be playing with production lights. So the sheen, the gloss,
That's just not really gonna.
that
be
won't
an
be as
issue.
big a deal at home as it is in here, where we've got, I don't know, somewhere around 8 to 10 like production lights pointed at it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. They're saying acetate, so I think it makes sense.
That's
Did
what I mean.
you answer the
I-
question about which height you use most often for elevation? Between 38 and 50 millimeter? When building elevation, what do you find yourself using more often, the 50 millimeter or the 38 millimeter? I'm assuming stilts.
I mean, that depends on the build type. If you're working with wildlands, I would use 50 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the escarpments are based off of the 50, versus anything within dungeons would be closer to the 38s, inch and a half, right? Because that's the measurements we're working with, which is like either 2 inches or inch and a half.
It's why we have the other. It's why we have the other heights. Like 12 millimeter is basically floor height.
Half inch, yeah.
Yeah, half inch.
I'm saying like those are the relatively closest next measurement. Is like, yeah, it's close to a half inch.
It's basically the 12 millimeter stilts are there for raising things a floor height. The 38 is for raising it a dungeon or cavern elevation height, and the 50 millimeter are for raising it a wilderness elevation height.
Basically. If you're specifically using those pieces,
yeah,
because you can use the 38. So for instance, I can use the 38 to push this. Let me re-angle that. If I use the 38, I've got at least a floor height up against this wall. So that way, when I want to put a floor next to it, or when I want to put a wall up against it, they're kind of on the same angle. Now, I could go to 50, and then that would put it right there, right? It would put it at the top of the wall, is what I'm trying to say. Now, when I then make any of my stairs and all the other things, right, when we see what we saw with the dais, when I took the stairs and put those next to each other, what we're seeing is the dais is not a floor height, it is actually closer to an inch. So when these things come together, if I were just using the terrain tray up against the stairs, right, it would go directly to the stairs. If I then use a 50, right, I would end up going above the staircase if I just wanted the terrain tray to go run up to it. I would, technically want another, if I want it to be a completely seamless thing, I would end up needing an additional, those tiny stair sculpts to bridge that gap. But as it is 38, if there's a floor here, right, I'm going to need those tiny steps just for this height. Now, if I go up to 50, now there's a reason to do this, is I put these back here, and make it a more gradual climb, right? I put the pedestals right here, and then another set of those stairs to make it and that's on the 50. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that like what I will probably find myself using more often within dungeons is 38, because it blends better with all of the different floor heights, and it blends better with all of the like kind of like ways that you're going to want to use elevation more simply. That's what I would end up using. But the 50 has its place and it is useful. It just requires a little bit more, a couple more pieces. And in some ways, a little bit more forethought. Have we seen Sinister, Underdoom, and Lava together? I imagine. I'll grab this then.
Okay. Lava.
Is that for later?
So yeah, somebody wanted to see it, so just
Okay.
can we get a fit check? Jeff Rosenstock. Yeah, he's wearing a Dwarven Forge shirt.
But see, so
I'm not sure. So I did grab a Stairway to Violence. What did you want to see about it? And then we can demo it real quick. But yeah, so Sinister on Lava looks very good. I believe that it's going to be in a video coming as well, so we should have some pictures and footage of it soon. I know for a fact that they did do Sinister with Underdoom, so we should have good images. I think we've used some of the images from that shoot as well. So check the photo gallery. You should see some images of at least the Underdoom, and then, like I said, the videos are on the way. All right. Just want to see how it fits together, how tall it is compared to other stuff, and what kind of stuff that goes in that slot on the top. Got it. So you just kind of want to see.
So you just want to know about the.
I think I saw him asking about it in the Discord.
So Pedestal of Pain is a 2-piece.
They're both 38, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty close. They're taller than 38, right? So it's but if you then use a 38 next to it, you would then be able to exactly match the height.
So basically, if that's built in line with floors, it'll have a 38 millimeter rise from the floor.
Correct.
To fit into that elevation system.
Now, this top part is just a 2x2 square, so you can technically put any 2x2 that is of the same scale. So dungeons, caverns are in the same scale, so any dungeon floor you can put into top of here. Any caverns floor you can use with dungeons. You would not be able to put a 2x2 low town floor into here as a consequence, because it is that slight amount bigger, because it is a true inch scale.
So you can just put a regular floor in there just to kind of cap off the top. You can put like an LED floor in there. You can put a trapdoor floor in there.
Yeah, you
to
can do a lot.
Special effects stuff.
And then these two things rest with each other. The sculpts, right? They just rest with each other. It's supposed to be a one continuous climb. This top piece has LED sockets right here and here.
So you can put torches on it. That top piece also can just be placed as scatter.
Yep.
On a thing, and it can be like a little thing up there.
It's
a very flexible piece. It's basically two like big elevation set pieces that stack on top of each other.
And because this is a square, so it can fit in line with your other pieces. So it just ends up being an extra rise. Slightly less able to be by itself unless you don't care about those clean lines. But again, there are also trifecta ledges within caverns, so that work very similar to these ledges, where you can just sort of make it more of a natural capped off of on the other sides. Again, just a couple more pieces to make that happen, but like
Sinister Stairway to Violence coming. Yeah, it's gonna happen eventually. Oh no, Sinister? No. I misread that. I thought you meant like Underdoom. I think there's a question about showing the Sinister with UV light. Is that cool? You're going to be able to see it soon. I don't know if we have like the UV pieces with us,
Do
but
you
it
have
is
the
being showcased in a Sinister video that should be
Do you
coming
have the
out.
light? Just if I can get the light, I can try any of the ones that I have right here on my table.
I don't
and
know
see.
where the black light is.
Okay. Isn't it right? Oh, no, that's something else.
That's the thing. I don't know where.
Okay.
I know that
'Cause-
Nate has been using the black light. I don't know where it is currently.
All right. Let
But
me
it
go
is-
check his office then.
Okay, it is being showcased in a video coming up soon. So if nothing else, you can see it there. Is there any other? So we're gonna end soon. I'm gonna roll this giveaway actually while he's gone, and get that handled. And then, are there any last questions? Any last things that we can
Oh, thanks, man.
showcase
I'll bring it right
here?
back. Thank you.
Most preferably around negative space. But if that's not the case, that's fine. Strider 169. Strider, are you here? I think the eligibility on this might have gotten messed up. Is Strider here? It was acting very weird. No worries though, the idea seems cool. Yes, it is a cool idea. It's a fun little trick. They're not showing us here. Okay. I think I might need to reset the eligibility real quick. He turned from that path long ago. Okay, let me reset this real quick. All right, he's actually here.
Yeah, I don't think any of the ones I have are reactive.
Okay, yeah, I think I haven't seen Strider here.
Because I can tell from the undergame, none of these are reactive.
Okay, I'll roll again in a few minutes. I'll let people like kind of get back in here. Type hazard again, to enter, and we'll run it. Sorry about that, guys. I think something on the thing got screwed up. So we'll in a few more minutes. Blacklight usually ends up on my desk because I bought it for UV curing resin. That's pretty funny. Plus one request for a 24 by 24 texture mat for a new dungeon floor. The biggest issue is we just would have to make a different kind of texture mat than what we have been doing, because it really only works for the way that we're producing them really only works for liquids.
Yep.
As
well as I'm less interested in a 24 by 24.
Oh, are we doing?
This was asked.
Yeah. Sinister Underdoom compatibility. First time seeing Underdoom in hand, looks so good. It's a lot of fun. It's a very specific environment, but it's just a very cool looking thing to pop down. When you get a chance to use it, it's really nice to have. Do you know if anyone has bought the Ultimate Dungeon Bundle yet? Yes, you should actually be able to see. I think the rewards show how many people have them. 22 people. 22 people currently have Ultimate Dungeon Bundles, which is kind of wild, actually. That's one less than the Dungeon Master Bundle for Vaulted. The biggest reward is the Dungeon Triple Bundle at 176. That seems to be the most popular reward, which makes sense. Sinister is like the brand new thing, and that's as high as you can go with it currently.
Yeah.
You're not low IQ. It's not a thing. We wouldn't expect people to just know. We wouldn't expect people to just know how the Game Found page works. Like, we know because we're doing it. You know?
Yeah. As well as it works differently than other platforms, and everybody's got their own crap every day. You know, like I don't begrudge anybody who is having a difficult time finding something or understanding something, or like, hey, I really couldn't parse how this was supposed to work. Could you explain it better to me? I think that's always well within someone's right to ask. Sometimes the solution may be simpler than we want it to be.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Sinister Master Bundle would be something that we would add in Pledge Manager, because we need to see how much Sinister gets unlocked, because we would want to use all the stuff that gets unlocked there, you know? So yeah, Sinister and Underdoom, they're not the same paint scheme, but they definitely feel like they go together. They both have a kind of
I
almost
would
alien. They're complementary.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, like Underdoom, which is our legal distinction of the Underdark,
You can't
is
admit that.
yeah, is the idea of like, hey, this deep, this I'm so sorry, this further depth beyond like regular caverns, this like mystical, magical place. Same thing with Sinister, is that very eerie sort of. You said alien, and I would almost say like, yeah, I would. The reason I think they are also going to blend well together is that this would be the then man-made structures within the Underdark, within the Underdoom, and that's why they complement each other well. Any of the cavernous growths that have found themselves on the walls, or the just the general moisture, or whatever, the creepy, like, you could blend Sinister really well with the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you wanted to put the mother of all mushrooms at the center of a dungeon build, I think that would work really well. So a lot of that stuff, anything that you find in the Underdoom Caverns collection, I think you could very easily mix and match the two. Because again, they're not a one-to-one. Like, I wouldn't be able to pass them off as the same, because they're also different sculpts. But placing them together and sort of like, even placing up any of this stuff right up against each other.
Mm-hmm. What does it look like if you
Right, like building those in line with each other could be very easy.
Mm-hmm. And we saw that worked really well with Hellscape as well.
Yes, yeah.
Where's the father of all mushrooms? I was just thinking as he was talking about it, I'm like, oh, I should just get a little phone photo of dropping the mother of all mushrooms in a Sinister build.
Like, obviously, to me, what's funny is like the thing about that is that the thing I have more of a complaint about is the sculptural difference, not so much the painting difference.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a dungeon to caverns transition in the sculpt form, that would make me happier. But I am also very happy with this, because I would most likely, because more likely what I would do is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
A structure built within the caverns versus a transition like that.
Just a hard floor line.
Right, like that that doesn't make any sense to me conceptually from like the world building standpoint, but it's a cool build, and I would more than likely I would do this one. I would do, a breached wall would work great there, even in just regular dungeons with your regular caverns.
True.
Right, like that's
True.
what you could do. But obviously that's not a piece available in Sinister. I understand. I said something dangerous, but anyway. Is there anything else that I can do to help cap this out?
I don't think so. Right. Let's roll this giveaway. MS Dupree. MS Dupree has won the giveaway. And MS Dupree is actually here, so I feel good about this one.
I feel confident.
I'm gonna whisper you real quick so we can get your email to send that gift card, and then we're good.
Let me whisper in your ear.
Perfect. Okay, that is done. All right. There's some extension to cavern doorways. I wish we could just easily make transition pieces all the time and not have to worry about meeting MOQ and selling enough of them.
It's more of a thing that I would place in the what's great for like 3D printing.
Yeah.
Like, that is so much more of a niche need.
Yeah, something that only has one use case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, even when we did it in caverns with the paint, right? We did painted transitions from ice to regular, and Underdoom to regular, and lava to regular. It's a bit much.
It was like, we did it in Caverns Deep, and then it was just like trying to actually restock those things. It's like that's unreasonable.
That's kind of what I mean. Is that like it's not, you run into so many issues.
Yeah. All right. I think we're gonna get out of here. Is there any last minute things? Just acquired my first runes, but until this point, I've always mixed caverns into dungeons to create a more irregular ruined look. It's worked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's the thing. You don't even need a sculpt that is perfectly suited to the use case for it to work in a game. Um, like it's you don't like you're here to use your imagination. You do not need something that is 100% a smooth transition
Yeah.
to be effective in a game. Sticking me through security to reply to the whisper. Are you on the Discord? If you're on the Discord, you can just DM me there. I think I've seen you on the Discord. We've been finding out with people who don't use the whisper system on Twitch. It asks them to do some kind of security check that takes a lot of time. If you're on the Discord, you can just message me there, and that should be fine.
Finley also has more than likely recorded this win, so
Yeah, I definitely will not forget.
no.
Okay, I got the email there, so I will get that to. I will get that to Chuck, and we will get that sorted.
Yeah, happy to answer questions. I wish I
Yes.
could build a little faster. Some of that times is just piece allocation, but
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. Good night, everybody.
good night.